Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Part 57. But a certain stupidity of soul without desire of good or conscience of evil had entirely overwhelmed me, and I was all that the most hardened, unthinking, wicked creature among our common sailors can be supposed to be, not having the least sense either of the fear of God in danger or of thankfulness to God in deliverance. In the relating what is already past of my story, this will be the more easily believed when I shall add that through all the variety of miseries that had to this day befallen me, I never had so much as one thought of it being the hand of God, or that it was a just punishment for my sin. My rebellious behavior against my father, or my parents' sins, which were great or so much as a punishment for the general course of my wicked life. When I was on the desperate expedition on the desert shores of Africa, I never had so much as one thought of what would become of me, or one wish to God to direct the whither I should go, or to keep me from the danger which apparently surrounded me, as well from my voracious creatures as cruel savages, but I was merely thoughtless of God or a providence, acted like a mere brute from the principles of nature and by the dictates of common sense only, and indeed hardly that. When I was delivered and taken up at sea by the Portugal captain, well used and dealt justly and honorably with as well as charitably, I had not the least thankfulness in my thoughts. When again I was shipwrecked, ruined, and in danger of drowning on this island, I was as far from remorse or looking on it as a judgment. I only said to myself often that I was an unfortunate dog, and born to be always miserable. It is true, when I got on shore first here and found all my ship's crew drowned and myself spared, I was surprised with a kind of ecstasy and some transports of soul which, had the grace of God assisted, might have come up to true thankfulness, but it ended where it began, in a mere common flight of joy, or, as I may say, being glad I was alive without the least reflection upon the distinguished goodness of the hand which had preserved me, and had singled me out to be preserved when all the rest were destroyed, or an inquiry why Providence had been thus merciful into me, even just the same common sort of joy which seamen generally have after they are got safe ashore from shipwreck, which they drown all in the next bowl of punch and forget almost as soon as it is over. And all the rest of my life was like it, even when I was afterwards, on due consideration, made sensible of my condition, how I was cast on this dreadful place, out of the reach of humankind, out of all hope of relief or prospect of redemption, as soon as I saw but a prospect of living, and that I should not starve and perish for hunger, all the sense of my affliction wore off, and I began to be very easy, applied myself to the works proper for my preservation, and supply, and was far enough from being afflicted at my condition as a judgment from heaven, or as the hand of God against me. These were thoughts which very seldom entered my head. The drawing up of the corn, as is hinted in my journal, had at first some little influence upon me, and began to affect me with seriousness as long as I thought it had something miraculous in it, but as soon as ever that part of the thought was removed, all the impression that was raised from it wore off also, as I have noted already. Even the earthquake, though nothing could be more terrible in its nature or more immediately directing to the invisible power which alone directs such things.